Kennedy is a giant in the mythology of Australian football, a visionary and definitely a doer.
Please do something! Do! I shepherded, or I played on. At least I did something.
Kennedy played 164 games for Hawthorn and captained the Hawks from 1955 until 59, winning 4 best and fairests. When he became Hawthorn's coach in 1960, the Hawks lost their first 5 games. But he soon moulded the fittest and strongest team in the competition, and the Hawks broke through for their first flag in 1961. He guided Hawthorn to another premiership in 71, in the era of the famous Kennedy's Commandos. It was the grand final of 1975 when club captain and champion rover Peter Crimmins desperately wanted to play, despite having cancer.
I sort of thought that he wasn't fit. Well, in fact, I knew he wasn't match fit, but I just had a hunch that his presence on the field might do something for the team. But I didn't have the guts to follow my hunch through because the stakes were, to put it mildly, pretty high. He told me in no uncertain terms what he thought, and I didn't blame him for that either. I think I would have been the same. So he didn't play, and we lost.
Malcolm Blighton takes the mark, plays on immediately, the siren goes!
After Kennedy's Hawks won the flag in 1976, the Master stood aside for his protege, David Parkin. In 1985, Kennedy was coaxed out of retirement to coach North Melbourne. In 5 years with the young Roos, he further enhanced his enormous reputation. In latter days, he became chairman of the AFL Commission. John Kennedy continues to be one of the most respected personalities in football, a legend whose trademark became his battered raincoat.
Please welcome the great John Kennedy. John, great to see you. Do you see a little bit of Kennedy's Commandos in these Hawks today?
Oh, I think that today's players attack the ball fiercely, and I suppose that's what we were trying to do years ago, and that's been maintained, so I see that similarity.
John, I've always wanted to ask you, that famous speech from 1975, from the grand final, half-time, did you prepare it, or did the words just come to you at the time?
Look, I have been forced to live with that. I have been regarded as an apostle of mindless activity. But certainly there was no preparation. It's just a product of the circumstances that we were in, the training that had taken place, the mood of the players and the mood of the coach, and all of these things come together, and they're said on the spur of the moment to suit that particular instance. But since it started, it's got legs of its own now, and I have little boys saying to me, a little boy came up at Hawthorn during this week and he said, "Say, do something." And he's about 12 with a big smile on his face, and I didn't quite grasp, and eventually I did say to him, "Do something," and he was happy. He walked off and told his friends that it was okay.
John, if Alistair Clarkson rings you in the next few minutes and says, "Can you come down to the rooms and say something to the boys before they run out for the grand final," what would you want to say to them?
Well, in the first place, Alistair certainly wouldn't ring me, and if I think that he's got the job in front of him. And what would I say to the players? Well, that's down in the engine room, nothing like here. I guess I'd say to them, now look, make sure when you go out today that you enjoy yourselves. You know, never mind so much about whether we win or lose. You make sure you enjoy yourself. If you're given a man to mind, you play behind him, and when the ball comes, you go for the specky, climb up his back, Go for the big mark. And if you spill it and the coach sends the runner out, don't worry. Do it again. And again and again. If you take one, you'll be in the limelight and you'll enjoy it, so that when you come off you can say, well, I had a most enjoyable day. Value the experience more than the result. Really, it doesn't matter, not much.
John, just finally, your tip for today.
Well, as Lee Matthews said the other day, I just don't know. I think that I've watched Hawthorn and I think everyone has such great respect for Geelong. And I've got to be, I could just say this, I've got Bob Davis here today. And one of the great things about being part of AFL football is the friendships that are made. And a long while ago, before many of you were even born, Geelong and Hawthorn played off in a grand final after what can only be described, Bob, as a very acrimonious year, right through the season, bitterly fought out to the end. Geelong thumped us, Hawthorn, and Bob and I shook hands at the end of the day, and Bob was in tears and I think I was too. And we've been great friends, and the friendships that are made are one of the most treasured things about football. But today, I'm hoping that Hawthorn can reproduce the form of the last 2 weeks. If we can, and of course that depends on whether Geelong allow us to do that. If we can, well, I think we'll get there. But perhaps I better leave it at that.
John, a pleasure to hear from you. John Kennedy. Thank you, John.